Well, good morning, and thank you very much for joining us, indeed for waiting for us. Deepest apologies, technical issues, and all of that. We're so sorry, but we're here now, and there is scant time to waste. Our guest is Senator Shehu Sani, author, Pan-Africanist, human rights crusader, and he represented Kaduna Central in the 8th Senate. Good morning to you, Senator Shehu Sani.
Good morning.
Thank you very much for making time for us, and indeed, apologies to you personally for keeping you waiting. Technical problems and all of that. But here we are. We wanted to talk about grappling with the reality of subsidy removal. I mean, most people, by and large, have said that it's a thing that has to be done. But then there are realities. It's a bitter pill. It has to be taken. What, Senator, do you think will be those realities that are going to, as it were, confront us beyond hitting our wallet? These things sometimes have a sort of a knock-on effect. What do you think are those things that government and indeed the citizenry should pay attention to as necessary concomitants of the rise in the price of petrol, the removal of subsidy?
Thank you for having me in your program once again. Well, the Petroleum Industry Governance Bill was designed and passed to solve a lot of problems in the petroleum industry. And it has been able to solve so many problems. But what it has not solved was the issue of petroleum subsidy. And if I can remember, in the last 4 decades, that has been a contentious issue as far as our country is concerned, as far as the economy of our country is concerned. Every now and again, each time the previous government attempted to withdraw petroleum subsidy, there will be a natural response from the labor and civil society through protest, civil disobedience, and all sorts of campaign. I cannot recall how many number of protests are participated in support of petroleum subsidy. But the question we fail to ask ourselves for all these years is, can't we do without subsidy? Can't we do without billions of taxpayers' money being paid to anonymous persons in the name of subsidy? Can't we rescue our economy? Can't we do things differently? Many governments in the past have tried, but they have failed. And they failed because of the fear of the social implication of such withdrawal, and also the fear of mass uprising and resistance that will come after such withdrawal. And it has happened. I have been a strong advocate of subsidy. But now, we need to tell ourselves the truth as a country. This subsidy started in millions, then in billions and hundreds of billions, and now it has hit trillions. And we have reached a point where we were told that the government even have to borrow to pay subsidy. And this is not something that is going to come to an end in the next 1, 2, 10, or 20 years. It appears that we have to continue to source for money to pay subsidy. Can't we build other ideas in such a way that we will get down prices to the level of the ordinary man and then end this subsidy regime? And I think this has been the argument this time around. Nigerians have woken up to this reality. 1.2 trillion or thereabout being removed from our national treasury to pay for subsidy in an oil-producing country like ours is untenable, unsustainable, and is wrong. And for me, I am now a strong advocate of the need to dialogue to solve the problem permanently. Because all the dialogue that has been in the past is how do we reduce the subsidy and continue the subsidy. But now we have to achieve two goals. One, end subsidy and see how we can bring down the prices of petroleum products. If it is a price that we have to pay temporarily, then there should be a target for it. I belong to a civil society that has always campaigned and supported subsidy. But we have reached a point in the history of our country that our economy cannot sustain it. And still people are wondering, if we have had functional refineries, if we have judiciously used our resources to build more refineries in the last 8 years, we couldn't have been talking about subsidy at this very time. If Nigerians have to suffer for being an oil producing and oil exporting country, what will have become of Nigeria if we don't have oil, if we don't have petroleum? What will have been the fate of our people? So I think the decisive moment is now. The last government of President Muhammad Buhari has failed to implement this, despite his own flip-flop. He has been a person, there was an attempt to do it, and then when there was threat of uprising and protest, he withdrew and even denied that he never made such thing, typical of what he does with power. So this time around, I think these historical issues, economic issues about subsidy need to be addressed. It's a fact our people are suffering. To fill your tank now, a typical saloon vehicle is about 40 to 50,000 naira. You to go from north and southern part of the country now, you need about 100,000 naira, and this will reflect on the prices of commodities. But for us as a country, we have always been told, when I ask questions, who are the beneficiaries of these subsidies? They tell us oil marketers. Oil marketers, don't they have names? We need to know who are their names. I've never seen somebody who has come to the national television or been online and say, my name is Musa James Adeleke or Onoha, and that I am the beneficiary of this subsidy. So we can't continue to pay money to anonymous fraudsters, rent seekers, middlemen in the oil industry who have been benefiting and using the resistance of civil society to support for this subsidy for their own personal ends. As far as I'm concerned, our oil should be a blessing to Nigeria. It should be a benefit to our people. It should be one that will support life and also help our people. But it appears that we are suffering for having petroleum in our country. And I am fully in support of the dialogue process that is going now between the federal government, the NNPCL, and also the Nigeria Labour Congress. At least with a dialogue, we can come with a solution. During the Babangida regime, we were on the street protesting in support of subsidy. During the Abacha, many of us even went to court to challenge it. In the Jonathan administration, Obasanjo and Jonathan, we were all on the street fighting. But it appears this will be an endless thing. We will continue to do these things here, paying trillions to some persons who don't produce anything in the name of simply importing. This is an opportunity for us to get our refineries back in order, to build more, to refine our oil and provide it for our people, and end this culture of paying humongous amount of money to people whom we don't know what is their faces, who are their names, and where they are. So this is my take and my view on this.
Indeed. Well, thank you very much, Senator. Well, as you said, it's been quite difficult for the reasons that is confronting this fuel subsidy issue. As a matter of fact, there are many who say there is no subsidy, we were simply being ripped off. Well, this is not, we're not about to argue that, but that was the way some people felt. And it was a very delicate, something in the nature of a political hot potato. You just, said that the last administration sort of got cold feet on it. But now that it is done, subsidy has gone, and it has gone publicly, and it actually disappeared, shall we say, on the very day that President Tinubu was taking office, his oath of office. Now, it surely is an idea whose time had come. And so it was done, and people, thought that all sorts of things were going to happen. Not so. So, in fact, you now have people who are going to be, I don't want to call them victims, but who are going to have to, grapple with this, saying that, yep, it's going to be tough, but it's a thing that must be done. Now, I want to bring your mind, Senator, to the Nigerian citizens ourselves, because we've had it good for so long. We were, buying petrol at the price that we were buying it, and maybe we forgot ourselves a bit, and this has brought us into something of a shock reminder. Do you think there's a part for the citizens also, as government is doing all those things that you talked about? Indeed, they have said that they'll be intervening. The citizen itself has to now probably moderate his consumption, his or her consumption. We've heard about people who have 7, 8 limousines in the house. Not everybody does have that. But we were joking that maybe no more than 1 or 2 of those limousines shall now be on the road. But do you think there's somewhere where we can speak to the ordinary Nigerian himself who had grown up on the 190-something naira fuel that has now become almost 500 naira? So this is reality. Before, it was whatever it was. Is there a role for the Nigerian to moderate his awoof consumption?
Well, you see, if we are going to talk about this issue of subsidy, we also have to use this opportunity to address the problems in the energy sector. First of all, we must appreciate the fact that the petroleum industry bill has led to a new NNPC, which is NNPCL. And we have had a managing director in the person of Kerry, who has behaved and performed more than any other of his previous predecessors. Oil has been discovered in northern part of Nigeria, and there was a direct attempt, an effective attempt to end oil theft in Niger Delta. We have also seen a move towards accountability as far as the petroleum industry is concerned. That is a very big credit. But now on this issue of subsidy, as a layman, I've always asked myself, I'm not in the oil industry. We are importing petroleum product and government is subsidizing it. But the question I ask myself is, the price of an LG 52 inches TV in Lagos, in Asaba, in Owerri, is the same thing, the one in Sokoto, in Kano, Katsina, and Kaduna. And these products are imported. So who is subsidizing it? Why is the same LG 52 inches or Samsung or Sony in southern part of Nigeria is also the same thing in northern part of Nigeria? Who is subsidizing the prices of those things? But that is simply a layman thinking. But the question we have to ask ourselves, if you look at the amount of money that is paid to subsidy, can this money be invested in health, in education, in infrastructure, something physically people can see? Borrowing to pay subsidy is like you are borrowing to eat, because you will never stop eating, but you will stop borrowing when people stop giving you money. So that is a fact. The solution has to be found to it. The only thing that is important is that Nigerians have to be carried along, and there should be transparency in what is doing. If we have saved 2 trillion naira, let people see what this money will be used for in all the 36 states, including Abuja. Physical things they can see and they can benefit from. Whether it's education, whether it's health, whether it's infrastructure, whether it's whatever, at least people can see that. As far as Nigerians are concerned, I know very well that the previous administration have set a booby drive. It's like a time bomb. It's not that this government has withdrawn subsidy, but the fact on the ground is that they have not inherited money to pay subsidy. The budget that was passed by the National Assembly never made provisions for payment of subsidy from now to the end of the year. If Buhari had the courage, the boldness, the political will, he would have removed subsidy over 2 years ago. But for political expediency and fear of uprising, he wasn't able to do it. Like so many other things in his government, he left it undone. But as far as Nigerians are concerned, I think it's not simply the poor man that should make sacrifices. Many things have happened in the previous administration. It is time for the new president of this country to also look at the money is being borrowed by Nigeria, over $40-something billion, and now getting to about 77 trillion naira. How effectively was being used? There was suspicion that ministry, department, and agencies of government have looted and embezzled public funds in the last 8 years. Let's also recover those monies. Let not simply the poor man suffer. On subsidy removal, people should be carried along. And if you are not going to be given 10,000 for subsidy, let them see where this 10,000 naira is applied, and then they will say that the money is transferred from subsidy to your own personal development as far as you are concerned as a citizen. So asking Nigerians to moderate their lives, to restrict themselves to a certain lifestyle, is also one of cultural orientation and the need for us to address. We are not a rich country, and also we are not a poor country. We are not a rich country in the sense that our way of life as a nation does not reflect the economic reality of our country. Take, for example, in Abuja here, a rent costs as much as 15, 20, and 35 million naira, and we don't have any industry. We don't produce anything in Abuja other than simply the government is here and people can move around and loot and take contracts. So this is it.
All right.
When a typical Briton
I beg your pardon,
has
Senator.
a car or two,
I'm sorry to
a
interrupt
typical
you.
Nigerian has 10 or 20.